Welcome to the Park City Pulse, where we highlight the Park City experience and the people that make this town great. I'm Carla Olson, and in studio with us today we have Tripp Hoffman, owner of Alpine Apothecary. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I'm so excited you could come on the show because you've been up in Park City for about 3 years now, but the store's been around for about 10 years, right?
Yeah, 10 years coming this February, so big
Nice.
party in February.
Yeah, great. And tell us a little bit about how you got into this. I know you have a doctorate in pharmacy and went to school in Georgia.
Exactly. So, we moved out to Salt Lake in 1999, right after graduation. Something we looked at, to come out west, to kind of ski, backpack, and then we kind of fell in love with the area. At that time, I was able to join a compounding independent pharmacy right off the bat. And so I had been with that pharmacy for about 19 years.
Oh, wow.
So lots of experience there
Yeah.
in compounding. But it was a hybrid store, meaning that it was retail as well as compounding. And Alpine Apothecary, the nice thing about Alpine is it really allows us, being a compounding only pharmacy, it allows us to focus on our patients, to give patients that extra attention they deserve and need. But also it allows us to key in on our ingredients that we pull in, and we investigate all of our ingredients and really take pride in having the highest quality of ingredients.
That's exactly what I've heard about, and I've been meaning to stop in, so I'm so glad you're here. But I hear that you take really good care of your customers. You spend time talking to them, kind of the issues that they're having and how you can help them. So tell us a little bit about compounding and what that is.
Yeah, so really compounding is, creating customized medications for individual patients. So it's really tailored for an individual where they have a certain need that's not being met by commercial, available products. So a lot of times what happens is, a compound's needed when maybe a certain medication, the inactives are the culprits of causing the problems, or maybe, sensitivities to gluten or lactose or dyes or perfumes or preservatives. So there's a lot of things that we look at, and we don't always point to those right off the bat, but then when we start to dive in and really look at what's the aggravator, what's causing the major problem here, it goes back to really the basic type things of looking at the inactive ingredients or unnecessary ingredients that don't really give a true therapeutic effect. So we can pull those out, if patients don't want to take those or if practitioners don't want them in the products. So we're able to work with practitioners, and that's one of the fun things about the job is we really get to work closely with patients, and we do this triad of patients and practitioner and pharmacists working together. And I think with so many complex issues with autoimmune diseases, with balancing hormones.
I'm like, well, I'm in my 40s, so I was going to ask about that. But interestingly enough, my middle daughter just got diagnosed with celiac. And so I wouldn't have thought to come to you for that. I'm so glad you brought that up with all the autoimmune issues everyone's having.
It's amazing to me how many, there's over 120 different recognized autoimmune issues and diseases now. And so I think you have to look at the whole picture. You have to look at functional medicine and get to the root cause of things. So a lot of times it's really investigating what is, kind of finding the answers, looking for the whys and saying, why is this happening? How can we address it? And not really just looking at numbers and lab values, but really looking at symptoms and talking to patients, but working really closely with the patients, but with practitioners as well.
That's so great. So tell us about, what are some common things that you find Park City, people are coming in for, questions that you often see?
Right. Well, one of the neat things about Park City, I think, is, we do have that population that's well educated and well versed, kind of in the athletic and yeah. I mean, so there's a very fit group.
Yes,
but
fit.
they want to be fit and they want to stay fit. So they want that longevity of how do I keep my mind going? How do I keep my body going like it's going? I've lost energy. How do I get my energy back? So there's certain things that nutritionally we can look at, and there's certain things that we have kind of tricks in our sleeves that we can pull out to really help synergistically. We put things together. One of the most common things we see are dermatological problems. And a lot of times what happens is it's those inactive ingredients. So we go back to bases, and we're able to try different bases that we know work, that we have a great response rate from other patients. And we can add things to it. So we slowly add in bases, and then we start to add in the actives that might control and keep things at bay. So we're
That's
able
great.
to kind of work with the patient to get answers.
I love that. It's a phased approach, because until you really get that whole picture of the client, you don't know what to take out and add in,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit, what about sleep? Can you help with sleep? Because I am not sleeping.
That's a great question. And we do wellness evaluations, and a lot of times what happens, patients come in and we start to address things. They have certain complaints, but then it goes back to sleep. It goes back to the gut.
Yeah.
It goes back to our immune system. And so once we address those, a lot of things correct itself. Sleep, absolutely. I mean, there's things we can do, compounding wise. There's things that we can do nutritionally. There's things even just with having a healthy gut and a healthy lifestyle, looking at things a little bit differently.
I love that.
Ruling things out, small cuts, but big deals.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit, don't you have like a product of the month or like events at your
We do. That's something we
store?
started pretty recently, about 6 months ago, and mainly we started this because we felt like we have new products coming on board all the time. There's all these new products, but how do you know which ones to take over maybe something you've been on? So, it's things that we investigate, we look into, we get the highest quality of ingredients from the suppliers. We only use manufacturers that we trust, that do testing, that what's on the label says, hey, this is what's in the product, and it's absolutely what's in the product.
Right.
So we want to ensure that. But it's a way to introduce things to just the community, so we want them to be aware of what we have and the products that we have, but also it's a way, maybe we get reports back on a common basis where patients are saying, this really works for me, and this is why it works, and so we can have those particular products that work well.
That's amazing. I love that, because it seems like when I go to someone like you versus just getting some general work, on paper I look good, and then sometimes there's these underlying issues that a regular doctor might miss, so to speak.
Right.
And so I like to try to not do traditional medicine as much, and more just like the compounding and just something that's unique to me to really solve the problem. So
yeah, it really is. I think solving problems, that's one of my favorite things about Alpine Apothecary and just being in compounding is we are problem solvers. So we love to collaborate with patients. We love to collaborate with practitioners. Overwhelming response and receptiveness from the Park City community as far as practitioners and patients. It's just been so much fun. So,
that's great. So what's one of your new favorite products, would you say?
New favorite products. I mean, one of the things we get the most questions about is probably CBD. So, it's really interesting to learn about CBD and the different products and the different things that we are finding that it could be useful for. It's not one of those things that works for everybody, but it certainly does have its way in the health field where it could be very beneficial in chronic pain and even, gut type issues and anxiety and mild depression and things like that. So it's nice to have new products, but it's also, I love the way Utah went about it. The regulation side of it is there, and so the products
You're on the board, right?
I'm on the board.
Yeah,
pharmacy,
nice. Okay.
Yeah, so it's really neat. I think the way Utah legislatively went about it. I think the products that are being brought into Utah are backed by. They have a potency amount that they need to follow, and so patients are able to know that they're getting what it says on the label. So
that's great.
it's nice.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. I mean, I've heard you take such good care of your customers. Where can they find out more information?
So we certainly can follow us on Instagram. Instagram is a great place to follow us. We love to put our educational talks, our product of the month.
Oh, great.
We love to do posts on Instagram. You can find us. Alpine Apothecary is in the Redstone Center. Always like to say we're behind the Bed Bath & Beyond, but we're in between the U of U Redstone Center and the Red Rock Brewery. Most people knows where those places are. But
sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. So please go check out Apothecary in the Kimball Junction area. Thanks so much for watching the show, and we'll catch you next time.